The lecture hall aboard the Galactic Consortium's Orbital Academy smelled of recycled air and nervous energy. Professor Kale Veyron stood at the front, his four iridescent eyes scanning the rows of students: Velhari, Draxi, a pair of moonborn Sethari, all young, all eager, all blissfully ignorant of what was sitting quietly in the back row. Mara Ellison. She had her boots crossed on the desk, a battered datapad balanced on one knee, and an expression that could generously be called patient. She was the only human in the Xenobiology 301 cohort. She was also, as far as the Academy Registrar was concerned, an administrative anomaly, a Deathworld cadet admitted on an interspecies exchange program that most faculty had quietly voted against. Professor Veyron had been one of those faculty. He cleared his throat, clicked his stylus against the holographic display, and brought up the first slide. Earth, Class 7 Deathworld, Apex Fauna Overview. Today, he announced, we discuss the predators of Sol 3. I expect most of you have reviewed the preliminary materials. His gaze did not drift to the back row. He was professional. What you will find is that this planet, while small and geologically unremarkable, has produced some of the most statistically improbable killing machines in the known galaxy. A Velhari student raised two of her hands. Professor, improbable how? In every way. Veyron clicked to the next slide. A creature filled the screen, massive, furred, standing nearly 3 meters on its hind limbs. This is the Ursus arctos horribilis. Grizzly bear, in the local tongue. It can run at 60 kilometers per hour. It can smell prey from 30 kilometers away. It has been documented continuing to attack after receiving wounds that would kill most sapient species twice over. He paused. It is also, I should note, not considered among the top 10 most dangerous animals on Earth. The hall went quiet. Not top 10, whispered a Draxi student. Not top 10, Veyron confirmed gravely. He advanced the slide. This is the hippopotamus amphibius. Responsible for more human fatalities annually than almost any other large animal on the continent of Africa. It weighs up to 4,000 kilograms. It can open its jaw to a 150-degree angle. It is semi-aquatic, meaning it attacks from water with no warning, and it runs, yes, runs, at 30 kilometers per hour on land. He let that settle. Herbivore, by the way. Someone made a sound like a soft whimper. In the back row, Mara smiled faintly and kept her eyes on her datapad. She was technically taking notes. The notes said, he's going to get to the mosquito and everyone's going to lose their minds. Moving on, Veyron continued, we come to what Earth's own scientists consider the single most lethal animal on the planet by kill count. He clicked the slide. A tiny, blurry insect appeared. The Anopheles mosquito. Responsible, through the transmission of a parasitic organism called Plasmodium, for hundreds of millions of deaths across human history. Smaller than a thumbnail. No armor. No claws. No venom of its own. He paused. It has killed more humans than all of Earth's wars combined. The whimpering student fainted. A Sethari in the middle row made a religious gesture toward their primary deity. Mara flipped to a new page on her datapad and wrote, called it. Veyron moved through the slides methodically. Box jellyfish. Saltwater crocodile. The blue-ringed octopus, 8 inches long, enough neurotoxin to kill 26 adult humans, no known antivenom. The cone snail. The deceptive, gentle-looking cassowary with its disemboweling kick. He went through each one with the careful tone of a physician delivering a terminal diagnosis. Now, he said, we come to what I consider the most philosophically disturbing aspect of Earth biology. He brought up a new slide. It was not an animal. It was a map, a global distribution chart overlaid with a single red dot species range. The red covered everything. Homo sapiens, he said quietly. The dominant sapient species of Sol 3. What makes them remarkable, and I want you to understand this carefully, because it matters for the remainder of this course, is not their strength. They are not strong. Not their speed. They are not fast. Not their senses. In nearly every measurable physical category, a human is outclassed by the other organisms we have discussed today. He turned to face the room fully. What makes them extraordinary is this: they grew up among these things. For hundreds of thousands of years, before technology, before civilization, before so much as written language, humans lived on a planet that was actively trying to kill them. They slept in caves where cave lions nested. They crossed rivers full of crocodiles. They walked savanna grass where leopards waited. They built fires, not because they were cold, but because the dark was full of things that wanted to eat them. He clicked to a new image. Ancient cave paintings, ochre handprints, running animals, crude stick figures with spears. They survived, he said. Not by being the strongest. They survived by being the most stubborn species in the history of life on this planet. They survived by working in groups. By learning. By refusing, on some fundamental biological level, to accept that anything in their environment was stronger than their collective will to continue existing. The room was very still. Veron's voice dropped slightly. There is a human concept called spite. It means to do something harmful to oneself for the exclusive purpose of frustrating an opponent. I have reviewed 17,000 years of human military history, and I have concluded that spite is not a personality quirk among humans. It is a survival strategy. They have, on multiple documented occasions, won wars against numerically and technologically superior opponents simply because they found the concept of losing personally offensive. He paused. The reason I tell you this is not to frighten you. The reason I tell you this is so that when you eventually work alongside human colleagues, as more of you will, as the consortium expands its exchange programs, you understand what you are dealing with. You are not dealing with a fragile species that survived by luck. You are dealing with apex predators who spent 100,000 years being prey, and who learned every trick the universe had to offer to make sure they never stayed prey for long. He clicked off the slide. The room was silent for a long moment. Then, from the back row, an unhurried voice said, "You got the hippo numbers slightly wrong, by the way. It's closer to 500 deaths annually in recent years, not the figures in the consortium database. The database is pulling from a 2,180 survey before the rewilding programs expanded the population back up." Every head in the room turned. Mara Ellison had her data pad down. She was looking at Professor Veyron with an expression of mild, polite helpfulness, the expression of someone who has been listening very carefully and simply wants to make sure the record is accurate. Veyron stared at her. She smiled. It was a perfectly normal smile. It did not show teeth. She had learned, in her first week aboard the station, that showing teeth made people nervous. Also, she added, the cone snail stat is right, but worth mentioning that most of the species in the Conus genus that are actually deadly to humans are the ones that hunt fish, not the ones that hunt worms or mollusks. The fish hunters evolved the really fast-acting venom because fish don't hold still. She tilted her head. Evolutionary arms race. Everything on Earth is in one, basically. That's probably the thing the consortium databases keep missing. It's not that the animals are dangerous in isolation, it's that they're all dangerous because of each other. Everything had to keep getting nastier to stay alive. The Velhari student closest to her had slowly, imperceptibly, leaned away. Mara either didn't notice or didn't mind. She picked her data pad back up. Sorry. Continue. You were doing really well. Professor Veyron looked at her for a long moment. He thought about his vote against the exchange program. He thought about the 17,000 years of military history he had reviewed. He thought about spite as a survival strategy. Then he thought about the fact that Mara Ellison had grown up on Earth. Had walked those same continents. Had shared an atmosphere with box jellyfish and cassowaries and anopheles mosquitoes, and had arrived here, calm, slight, quietly correcting his statistics, as if none of that was remarkable in the slightest. Because to her, it wasn't. He turned back to the board. "Thank you, Cadet Ellison," he said, and his voice was only slightly unsteady. "Class, please update your notes." In the third row, the Sethari student made the religious gesture again. It seemed this time directed at the back row. Later, walking back to the residential ring, a Draxi classmate fell into step beside Mara. "Did it bother you?" they asked. "Him talking about your planet like that? Like it was dangerous?" Mara considered this. "Nah," she said. "He was right. It is dangerous." She paused. "I just think he forgot the most important part." "What part?" She smiled, still no teeth, and looked out through the viewport at the stars. "We liked it that way."